Okay. Now,
Got
a
it.
little person talking in my ear that recording's in progress. So I'm Guy Miller. I'm not Tony Passantino. I borrowed the SEC's account because my free account would limit us to 40 minutes. I don't know if it's going to take 40 minutes to do this. A lot depends on the download speed and some other things like that. Anyway, I'm Guy Miller, obviously. So everybody should have gotten in their email a list of wildlife insights procedures, so registration information. About half the people are already registered, and Dan's species list as well. That may come in handy as you work through this. So some of the questions I've gotten already is this going to replace our current system? And the answer to that is yes, absolutely. The goal of this is to no longer have to go up to Sugarloaf Ridge and sit in that cold computer room up there and use that computer. You'll be doing this at home instead of up there, and we'll be replacing our system. Once you're comfortable with it, I really think you can start using it right away. It has some advantages over our current system. One is you can process from anywhere. Like I just said, you could do it at home. You could. A lot of people have difficulty with the download speed up at the CC office. You can, if you have a lot of images on your disk and you're at home, you can start the download process. You can walk away and have dinner. If you have 1,000 pictures on your disk, you can go to bed and come back the next morning and it would all be there. You don't have to sit in front of your computer the whole time. One thing it also does is allow us to assign people who don't necessarily want to hike, but don't have a problem doing data. Some of the teams just like to hike and would rather turn their data over to someone else to take care of. So this gives us the ability to do that. It provides a hosted site for us to keep all of our photos. They'll be hosted on the Wildlife Insights web on their servers. So we don't have to deal with the storage or purchasing time on servers as well. There's fewer data processing steps involved. Once the camera location's set, you don't have to put in GPS information. You don't have to rename files. So it just eliminates a lot of the steps that we went through before. We can run queries on the data. This is something that Dan's going to be doing a lot of. It's primarily the reason we're doing this. He can run queries and start using the reports he gets from those queries for wildlife studies that I know he has planned to do. And we can also share the data with other agencies. That's something we're going to be looking at in the near future. Hopefully we'll do that. Depends on what the other agencies want and whether they're willing to join us or not. And one of the most important aspects of Wildlife Insights is it uses artificial intelligence to identify the animals. I want to talk a little bit about this. It's not very good at it. It's this artificial intelligence or machine learning for identifying animals is pretty high level artificial intelligence. It's working. This program's been around for a few years. It needs to learn, and it needs to learn by us putting our critters in there so it can start identifying, and it will misidentify a lot or be unable to identify a lot. And then as we do it, every time it sees a fox and we put in that's a gray fox, here's another one, that little bit of information is going into its artificial intelligence, and it starts learning these things, and then we'll get a little bit better at identifying every time we put something in. I've been using it for about 3 months now, and we have tons of mule deer in the park. It's the #1 critter we see in the park as far as we're getting photos. And when I first started doing it, I really struggled with the deer. And as I kept identifying those as mule deer or black-tailed deer, is the same thing, identifying those, it started learning and started realizing what they looked like. And it became better and better at identifying those animals. And you'll see as you use this will happen. It happens very slowly, it's very subtle, but it is getting better and better. It's a worldwide program. So it's got lions, tigers, bears, everything in it all throughout the world. And it has a database of well over 1 million different animals. So what I've seen is there hasn't been a lot of use in the Western United States. So we're sort of pioneering, but not really. But a lot of the critters we're putting in right now are maybe they don't have 1 million different different images of that animal. So we're going to be helping it learn about the animals and mammals that are near us in this area. So to use it, you need access to a computer, obviously at home, either Macintosh or PC. It works well on just about any browser. I know I use Safari with my Macintosh. Microsoft now has a new browser called Edge that came with one of the latest versions of Microsoft Windows. A lot of you will be on that. If you're on an older version of Windows, you'll be on Microsoft Explorer, and it works fine on all those. I want to go through. Have you all registered? Let me check, Julie. I want to see what we're working on. I think everybody here is registered.
I did register. I didn't try to get I know you have to get an account verified. I did not do that yet.
Let's see.
I have not registered yet.
Okay. Well, let me go over the registration process real fast. I'm going to share my screen and pull up a little gizmo here. Bear with me again. I'm new at this. You're going to get to look at my screen. So real quick, registration procedures. Everybody should have received one of these in the email. It's a 3-step process. A lot of people get hung up because they don't finish step 3. You have to do step 3 or you won't get registered. So number 1, you go to wildlifeinsights.org. Let me do something here real quick. Trying to make it a little easier for you to see my mouse spotlight. There. Can you see a little red dot moving around?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so go to wildlifeinsights.org, which is their main page. I'll stop that. You sign up with them, you make up a username and a password, send that to them. I'm not sure what happens. These are kind of old instructions for when I had to do it, and I think things may have changed, but you used to get an email back from them that reads what it says in the box here. Email address has been verified, manager, camera captured, and there. And then it asks you to, you still do. Okay, then you apply for the account approval right here. And it takes you to a page where you have to answer a bunch of questions. Did everybody go through this?
Yes.
Anybody not go through this?
I have not done the account approval yet.
Okay. So this is the second step. So you go through and it asks you quite a few questions about our organization. Really what you put in here, where I put down doesn't matter. You can put anything you want in there. I think this is just Wildlife Insights wants to make sure that people who have access to entering data in this program have permission to do that. So this is sort of a second step they want you to go through in order to make sure that you really have permissions to do this. So once that's done, you submit that. And this is the important part. You need to tell me at this point by sending me an email. There's my address right there saying that you did this, because I have to then ask Wildlife Insights to allow your name and your email access to our specific program, the Sugarloaf Ridge State Park program. So I send an email to Wildlife Insights. They send one back saying, okay, this person's ready to go. Then I go into Wildlife Insights and I have to send you an invite. So it's kind of a long, complicated process. If you don't go through all 3 steps, you can get hung up on the way. So that's pretty important that people do this right, for those of you who haven't registered yet. So let's put that away. I'm going to go into Wildlife Insights. If you've been in that, you've all seen this screen right here, these beautiful snow leopards. I read a very distressing thing about snow leopards, that they're susceptible to COVID, and several of them in zoos have died from COVID recently, which is disheartening because they're such beautiful animals. So this is the Wildlife Insight interface. Up here is where you would sign in. And right now I'm going to minimize this because we're going to bring some data in. We're going to start the upload process. So I'm going to minimize this. Now I'm not using a card here because I wanted to sort of speed things up a bit. So I put some images right on a disk here. Normally you'd be working off your card. If you're a Mac user, you'd be down here somewhere or wherever your card is. If you're a Windows user, you might be over here on Explorer on the left other side of the screen looking for your card. So I'm going to do my list. That's interesting. Doesn't work. Anyway, so I have a group of JPEGs here. One thing that's very important is the JPEGs have a size limit for Wildlife Insights, and that's 10 megabytes. That's not a problem for most of the images that we're using. The only area where people may have a difficulty with that is some of the new Bushnell cameras will shoot 30 plus megapixels per image. And that will result in a file probably larger than 10 megabytes. So what you need to do on those Bushnell cameras is move them down to the next smallest setting. If yours says 30 megabytes or 32, I'm not sure what it shows, you need to bring that down to the next smallest size. And so you need to change all your Bushnell cameras to that. Otherwise, you get into Wildlife Insights, it won't be able to download those images. So that's pretty important. You might want to get together with whoever's the most familiar with your cameras and ask them about that. Also, some of the other Bushnells have large, medium, or small size photos. I don't have any of those Bushnells in my group, so I don't really know how big those files are. You might want to take a look at them. If you're familiar with that, you can open a file up. I'm not sure why my view is, oh, there we are, list. So when you show a list view, it'll show you, if I can drag this over, all sizes right here, I already did this. You can see all these files are 3.4 megabyte, 3.5 megabytes. You need to take a look at that and see and make sure if any of those are over 10 megabytes, that may be an issue. And if it is, you might want to talk to maybe your lead, someone who might be a little familiar about those image sizes and reduce them a little bit. But if you do set your cameras correctly, that will never be a problem. We've gone through and changed all ours down to the cameras we're using are shooting either 8 or 10 megapixels, which results in a file about this size. So that's something that's important to do. So what I'm going to do right now, I've got this open and get out of the way. I'm going to bring Wildlife Insights back up. And we're actually going to upload these images. So first, they're going to sign in. And mine just defaults to me. Log in, and I'm in. So at this point, I'm ready to upload. There's a couple things you can do. You can go right to the upload button, that one, or this one here. Either one works fine. Or you can go to our project. There's 2 projects in here. This is the one we're working on, Critter Camera Data. The one that says do not use, obviously do not use. Or you can go to the projects list over here and select that. So you can either do it right away from this screen, or you can go click on the project, for instance, and it will bring up our project, and then you can upload from that screen. So I'm going to go ahead. Well, let's look at this a little bit first. Now ours, this is the main page for our project right now, and you can take a look. It's we can see this. If you're logged in, you can see this number. This number represents the total number of cameras that we've got out in the field right now. And this is our area. It's only showing our area. Oops, that might be a mistake. I'm gonna have to look at that. But you can see we've identified 28 species already. There's over 4,000 images in this. Most of those are mine, and Chris has put quite a few in. Actually, that's total images. That includes blank images as well. And it does take blanks. We have 1,700 wildlife images, 18 different camera locations, 48 deployments. We'll talk about this in a little bit. 19 actual cameras in use. And it started on January 1st, 2020. That started with Bob Lutoff and myself and Bill. And we've been using it on and off for a little bit. And the last survey date was just a few days ago, 22 and 1,500 days. So this is just, you don't really do anything. These don't do anything when you click on them. You can click on the little ID thing here and it tells you what it is. But this is just for you to look at. Shows the images by type, 1,700 wildlife images, 527 non-life, 1,900 blanks, and no unknowns. And here's the species that we've seen most. I mentioned there's mostly deer, foxes. Getting a lot of foxes because I'm the one that's been working on it primarily, and we have a camera that gets foxes every single night. So we've got a lot of foxes. And we have a jackrabbit that loves to park himself right in front of the camera. I'm sure a lot of you have dealt with this a lot. So those are the animals. No bears on the list yet, but I think there's 1 or 2 bears in it. So back to upload. So I'm going to click the upload button. And it brings up It actually brings up a different file. Let me go to the file I want. Let's see, I can't remember where I put it. Bear with me a second. I can't remember where I put them. Stop. Those of you who have Macs, do you work with a magic mouse? It drives me crazy. I can't remember when I made the file. Ah. Okay. I named all my images are here. I actually named it my location designator in the camera just for this. Normally, you'd actually want to go to one of the pictures to do that because you need to know that information. I put it here just so I could remember it easy. So I'm going to open the file. At this point, it says choose files to upload. I like to change the view to a list view here, or you can do it by icons. So here's all the files we're uploading. I've already separated the JPEGs from the images. On a Mac, if there were videos, I'm sorry, separate the JPEGs from videos. On a Windows computer, it will only pull up the JPEGs. You don't have to worry. It'll look just like this if you're on a Windows computer. If you're on a Mac computer and you have video files mixed in with these, the video files will all be grayed out. So you can sort of ignore them. It won't touch them at all because it only does JPEGs. So we're going to select all of them. So I'm just going to go shift click my first one, shift click the last. It selects all the images. And I'm going to go upload. So here, this brings us up to the upload box. This is some of the images we're uploading. There's 31 more that aren't showing up here. At this point, if you wanted to, you could drag images off the desktop and drop them in this box if you wanted to. I don't need to because I already brought them in. So we're going to go
Hey,
down.
Guy.
And, yeah. Yes.
When you were back at list view, did you want to write down the first date and the last date?
Oh, yes. Thank you for that. All right, let's go back.
Yep, you're welcome.
Absolutely. So this is the list view. You need the date. You need the date of the first and last image. So I didn't even do that. So my first image is December 17th, right there. And the last image is December 31st.
And the
So you write
camera
those
number,
down.
right?
Yep. And my camera, by opening one of them, I can tell. I don't want to open it from this because it'll mess up the load. My camera is number 61, which you can get off the image. Every image has the camera number on the bottom if your camera's set up right. So back to this. So Critter Camera Data, that's our project. You saw that on the other screen. That's the only project you'll ever use, and I think you have to worry about. Here's an area where people who have started using it are getting confused a little bit. They want to select the camera deployment. Now there's a whole list of that aren't popping up of deployments here that the program has created. We're not going to use any of those because anytime you have a new disk to put in there, it's a new deployment. So you'll almost never select the deployment from here. You'll always come over here to the new deployment. The only time you select the deployment is if you started uploading images and then stopped for some reason and process those images, and then you decide you want to come back and bring in some more new images. Then you'd select the previous deployment you were working on. So deployment is a specific camera at a specific location for a specific time frame. And we're going to look at that right now. So I'm going to start new deployment. And it brings this big up. So project is Critter Camera Data. Location, all the locations are preset for you. And it's important for your team to know if you move a camera any great distance at all, more than 50 feet or so, you need to get a new GPS reading on that camera location, and that needs to go to me because I'm going to go into the back office of the program here and change your location, correct it, or add a new location. So that's important. Anytime you move a camera, I need to know, and I want to bring some other people in on that to help me as well. So you're going to select the location. These are done by your location designation. So I'm going to look for BPRM1 right there. That's Brushy Peaks is my team, and Red Mountain 1. That's my location. And then start date, you're going to click here and it pops up a nice calendar. And I noticed when we were working on the Windows machine at the office, it would have, there'd be another box in here that would show today's date, and you sort of have to work around that. And that's again something that it acts a little different on Windows, doesn't here. So we remember December 17th was the date of my first. I wrote that down. Date of my when we put this card in, and the end date was December 31st. So this is important over here. You'll see it says camera deployment name. It just created that for me. And what that is the location designation and the date, the first date that card was put in. The program creates this for you. Don't change that. Let it do, let it do its work here. So that's an important thing, area where some people just want to rename it something all the time. You don't need to do that. So feature types. This is asking you about where your camera, where it's located and how it's set. In this case, this camera is on a hiking trail. So I'm going to pick hiking trail. You have a lot of different choices here, and just pick whatever one is closest. It may not be absolutely accurate, but these are the choices we have to deal with. When I select the camera, my camera was number 61. These are in numerical order. I'll go down to 61. And again, I got that off of the file name that's on the camera. Is your camera functioning or has it failed? Well, most of ours are functioning. There are some other things you could do in here. Maybe you went in there and it was completely blank and you want to put memory card failure. Well, then I don't know why you'd even be doing this because you wouldn't have any images to put in. So almost always you're going to have camera functioning. Camera height, you have some options here. And this particular camera is about knee height. Camera angle. And this is the parallel, is parallel to the trail, pointed downward, varies, unknown, other your choices. And we usually use parallel for this one. Bait, you actually can't do anything with this area here. This is if we use some sort of bait to attract the animals, and you want to put the bait down. That's nothing that we do. So that's always going to be grayed out. Quiet period setting. This is if your camera is set to rest in between shots, and the cameras vary between 0.6 seconds to up to 30 seconds or a minute, depending on the camera. You just put the number of seconds. Most of you don't have any gap. There's no resting period for your camera, so you put 1 in there. That's what we have. If you find your cameras, this starts getting into managing your cameras. If you find they're getting a lot of blanks, you might want to change that setting in your camera. So whatever you set it for, you might set it for 30 seconds, then you change this to 30. By the way, if anybody has any questions, while we go along. Yes.
On that one, if you, on the newer Bushnell, so there's a setting of 0.6, and this Wildlife Insights errors out if you do not proceed the 0.6 with a 0. So it must be 0.6.
Right. Thank you for that. I found just putting 1 is close enough to 0.6. Because I don't know if this setting's even going to be used anywhere. So it's up to you. If you want to put 0.6, that's a great point because we did find that to be a problem. But we use 1 second usually, and it works just fine. Sub-project is your team name. So you can find it down here. We are Brushy Peaks. And all that, these drop-down menus are already pre-populated for you. So at this point, we're going to upload. So you'll see a box down here at the bottom, and this gives you your upload process. And I'm uploading 46 images here. So it starts at 0, sits at 0 for a while, and then starts moving. It's actually working pretty good right now. How fast upload depends on a number of factors. When you're working at home, it depends on the size of the files, the number of files you have, your internet speed. All these things vary. Your computer speed as well. If you're downloading from a card, your card readers some are faster than others. The cards themselves, some are faster than others. So this whole download situation has so many variables. I have found it to be much faster than what we have at the CC office up there, though. So we're at 37. I have a very high speed internet connection here, so it works real fast on mine.
It's also faster because we're not using the videos, right?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, the videos were 80% of our download. That's why they were so slow. We're going to talk about videos near the end. This does not, Wildlife Insights does not accept videos. So that's something you're not dealing with at all right now.
Guy, is anything done with the videos?
Yes, we'll go over that at the end. You know, you get to go, if you see a still picture that looks exciting, you get to go try to find the video and then you do something else with that. I'll show you that at the end. All right, almost there. During this time, the program is actually identifying, it's running its through the identify algorithm that it uses. It's actually trying to identify blank images and what the images of animals are. So that's why this would be faster if that wasn't happening. That's one of the advantages of it, that it does identify some of the animals. You'll see how successful it is at that once we get into that. Now, don't get hung up on the last one here.
Guy, is the AI training being done globally? I mean, like for a single species, is it comparing images across its entire database?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because I mentioned there's over 1 million different species in it, and it's actually doing its computer, its AI thing, and comparing the images we have with every image of every mammal, every animal in the world, actually. Yeah. Can't believe we're stuck here.
It's pretty impressive when you think about it.
Yeah, it really is. It's fun to explore. When you first open it up on the first page, it gives you a map of the entire world. You can zoom over to Africa and Asia and see the different, the antelopes and lions and tigers and all the different species. One thing I will tell you, our program is not available to the public yet. They can't see anything. It's a requirement the state is putting on us. It will be tied up here for almost 2 years. So only people who are registered users of our particular project will be able to look at our photos. After a couple of years, it'll be made available to the public and they can see. And that's to protect sensitive species. So people don't see that, hey, they found a bear up there, let's go find him. Yay, I was really worried we were gonna get hung up there. So then we click, so we're all done here, upload's complete, click identify button. And here are the photos it brought in. So I want to go over this page real quick. The summary, it goes back to the camera deployments and shows there's our deployments right there. I don't use that. Details you won't use, something that I use to get into the back, the whole back project. This is all the information that I've had to plug in. It's got our cameras, locations and things like that here. So you'll never use that. Identify is where we just were. This is everything we just brought in. Now you may come to this page at this point and see photos that were not yours. That means there's another group that's also downloaded. So every time, if 2 or 3 different groups download all their photos at once, they're all going to be here. And I'll show you just a second how to find yours. The goal here of this whole program is to move photos from the identify to the catalog. Catalog is everything we've done. So this is every photo that we've got in here. This was 4,000 photos in here right now. If you want, you're glutton for punishment, you can scroll through them. And I'll show you later on how you can sort through these. So the idea is to go back to identify, find our photos here. Underneath you have a series of menus here, sub-projects. You click on that and there's a list of all the different teams. In this case, to find yours, I'm Brushy Peaks, I would click on Brushy Peaks. It's just brings back all the same photos that were already there because they're the only ones in there right now. Camera deployments. First thing, you have to go down and get hunt. That was a deployment from this camera in June. Here's one from September. Here's one from October. So if you want to go back and look at something in the past or tell somebody, say you've uploaded the photos yourself, but you want someone else to categorize them, you might tell them to go in and, it's our sub project is us, and this is the deployment name. You can give that to them. Again, that's something we may not be doing right away. Species, this is how you identify items by species. We actually have some bobcats here. These are toggle on and off. So if I clicked something else here, let's do meal there. And it should show me all of, right now it's showing me all the bobcats, everything in canine family and mule deer. Yeah, so we got a fox, there's our canine, there's a bobcat, there's a deer. So if you don't want to see this, you need to turn these back off. And this is where some people sort of stumble. I don't want to see the deer anymore, you turn it back off. And then go down here, the deer's gone. So to clear these, you need to turn these off. Now we get back to seeing everything. Status, this is one of the first things you'll do. You can look at all your blank images. The machine learning has identified these as blank images, and we'll look at them later, make sure, or you can show me the ones that are not blank. These are images that the machine learning has found, the AI has found something in. Photos, highlighted, we don't use here. We'll use that when we're up in the catalog. And bursts are something that I'll show you a little bit later, but it's an advanced feature that you might want to experiment on your own. So right now, again, I mentioned what we want to do. Oh, let's go down the bottom real quick. This tells you how many photos you have per page. And this is the number of pages. We only have one page here. Sometimes this might be a 2, 3, 4, and you just advance here or go to the end. That's how you move around the screen. Also, you can change the grid size up here. Again, these are just things that you do if you want to. Makes bigger pictures. Also distorts them somewhat. Actually, I'm not sure which is distorted. Yeah, that one is. The distortion a lot depends on the your monitor, whether sometimes it makes them look kind of weird. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to try to start moving animals from identify to catalog. So what I'm going to do, and it's, you've got some instructions, and there's a box that says best practice. You're going to look at it and it says, go to your status tab and pick blank. So this shows me all the blank images. There's nothing in here. And I a lot of time I just look through these little thumbnails and I can spot pretty much whether there's something in there or not. These look blank to me, except we've got 3 hikers. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to pull these blanks out here. I'm going to identify the hikers later on. And the way you do it, if you go over here to bulk selections, it gives you some hints on how to move around this screen. So you can select all on a page by doing Command A or Control A, whether you're on a Mac or PC. That will highlight every picture on the page. You could add or remove a selection by holding Command click on Mac or Control click on PC. And I'll show you how to do that because that's what I'm going to do. You can select many by clicking and dragging over the desired selections. That's something you can experiment on your own because I normally don't use that. And what I do use quite a bit is shift click the first image and then shift click the last image, and that selects everything in between. I'll be doing that a little bit later, possibly. So right now, I'm going to go back where it says the very first one, Command A on Mac. So I'm going to hold my Command key and I'm going to click this one. You see that circle means it's selected. I'm going to click this one. It's blank. I'm going to click this one. I'm going to get this one. This one. Did I get them all? Okay. So I've got 5 that I confirm are blank, and I'm going to say identify. And I'm going to down here, I'm going to mark them as blank. They're gone. So what happened? They just got moved into this catalog. You can't see it because they won't be, well, maybe they'll be in order. Let's look. No, they're not. You won't be able to see it, but since they're gone, I know they're there. That's the only place they can go. Now I'm going to hunt down some hikers. So I'm going to go to species. I'm going to put human. Type it up here. And this sometimes takes a while. This is a scroll down list. It's thinking it's trying to find any type of human. And this is happening lately. Let's try it again. I was afraid this was going to happen. Let's find something else. Let's go to Bobcat. I want to search for Bobcat. It'll come back to the humans. It struggles with humans. It's found 3 Bobcats. So here's a sample where I can go shift, hold my shift click down, click here, and hold the shift down again, and click there. It selects all 3. I'm going to identify it. I'm going to search for the animal. Type in Bobcat. Found it. See, that worked that way. Sometimes it works great. Found a Bobcat, and I'm going to say save changes. So it's still looking for bobcats. That's why there's nothing there. I have to come back up here and turn this off. And we're back to everything else. So I've got some rabbits in here. I'm gonna go species for rabbits. Rabbit and hare, but I want a specific, this is where your mammals list might come in handy. Normally it would show me all the rabbits. It's just pulling up the genus here for some reason, family actually. I'm going to type in blacktail and see if I can find it. Go back to rabbit. Oops. No, found the rabbits. In this case, it picked rabbit and hare family, so it found them all. It wasn't specific to the species, but it did find them all since they're all rabbits. So again, I would go shift click here. Shift click here, select all of them, identify.
Can you add a species? Like, can you add black-tailed jackrabbit?
And well, it should be in here.
Oh, okay.
It's not cooperating right now.
Oh, there it
Black-tailed
is.
jackrabbit, there he is. So it's already in here. This is where you're going to have some difficulty with the program. You have to kind of be patient. A lot of this is because it's sorting through all of its species kind and it's not finding things right away. And you might have to try more than once. So identified common name, black-tailed jackrabbit, and everything's set for common names. So you shouldn't have to put, you can still search by the taxonomy genus species name, but the program is set for common names. So you can save changes here. And I got rid of it, took all the care of the rabbits. So I'm going to turn that off again and get a couple more rabbits here. I'm going to go ahead and pick those rabbits. So here I'm going to command click. There's a rabbit in there. No, I think there's a rabbit in there. And I see a lot of foxes. So let's go identify those rabbits. Also, once it's there, once you find it, it's there again. It's much easier the second time. So we're going to save changes. Okay.
What if I
so
don't
now-
know it's a black-tailed? What if it's a pink-tailed? I don't know.
I just knew it was a black-tailed rabbit. So.
That's why that spreadsheet of land mammals of Sugarloaf is
Okay.
invaluable.
Right. There is another rabbit that is in the park, but it's not commonly seen. So 90% of the rabbits you see are black-tailed rabbits. So here I'm going to look for, oops, gray fox. Oops, not dairy fox.
Guy, that spreadsheet of the different species in
Yeah.
Sugarloaf, where does that live?
I sent it to everybody.
I don't think
was-
I got
I
it.
don't think I got
I
it.
don't think I did either.
Okay, maybe I didn't. All right, I'll send it out to everybody. This is one thing I found is gray fox. Let's see if it finds it there. Oops. What happened? Found a bear. Stop.
Guy Fox.
Was it there? The bear got in the way. Let's try fox. I know there's lots of foxes. It's funny, it's struggling in this box here, but when I went down to identify down there, it would find them right away. Come on. Let's see, let's try here.
Canine.
I'm going to narrow it down and see what it does. It did find all the foxes because they're canines, but it will also find coyotes in that case. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. We're really struggling with this right now.
Well, all I'm seeing are foxes.
Yeah, well, that's because there are no canines up here. It should find fox. It's in here. Let's do that. We'll go ahead and see everyone has a fox in it. We'll collect all those by using click shift, identify, and then I'm going to hunt it and see if it shows up here. Ah, look at that.
Huh.
You're gonna have to talk to them about this because that should not happen that way. Anyway, there's our fox. Save changes.
Was that one carrying a kit or some food?
It's carrying a rabbit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know why I keep defaulting to black there. So we've still got some fox. So at this point, what I do is I just start looking at them and I see a lot of foxes in here. So I'll hold command, click on all these foxes. I'm gonna tell you, we get a lot of foxes up here. I'm gonna identify them, and then gray fox is the first thing that pops up there. They're done. Okay, so again, what I do, I don't always go up and search for species. I use my eyes. It works better than anything. I can see there's a couple deer here. So I'm gonna go hit those 2 deer, identify them. Those are mule deer. Right there, mule deer. Click on that. Save
The
changes.
count, you don't have to put anything.
The count, I'll talk a little bit later about that. Let's identify one item right now, because I do need to show you this screen. So this is the identification screen. No, stop. Sorry. Doesn't like my mouse on there. This is your identify. That's where we are right now. You can edit the photo. These you won't use very much. You can edit the photo. All I could do basically is change the brightness and contrast. This actually edits the photo itself, not the species. And then metadata gives you all the information about that. So you'll use this a little bit later on. Go back to identify. So here we've got a bounding box, and this is completely optional. Right here where it says bounding boxes, this helps their AI learn. So the AI, the bounding boxes means it saw something in there. In this case, it sees this, you know something's here. Keep doing that to me, sorry. And it sees this guy's boot down here. This is my mouse problem. It sees this guy's boot down here and thinks that's something else.
Hoof.
They're different. In this place, does every animal have a bounding box? You'd say no. Again, completely optional. You don't even have to do this. So you can actually turn it off over here if you want. So that's up to you. If you don't have a lot of pictures and you want to help their AI, it doesn't help us at all. It helps their AI. You can do the bounding boxes. In this case, I have a human here. So I can accept what it is. It says it's blank, true. I can accept that, which would be incorrect. I can edit it, or I can mark it as blank, which would be the same as accepting it because it already says it's blank. I'm going to edit it. Let's see if we can find our human now. One thing here, you don't want to add animals. That adds a second animal if you click this box. So you want to come up here in the identification. And it's not working. We've had this trouble lately too. The wrong box shows up. Searching for animals. And usually, there we go. There's our
Homo
human.
sapien.
Homo sapien. So I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to say changes. That takes care of you. Here's another one. Look at that. No CV is no computer vision result. It's 91% that there's nothing in there that it recognizes. So it's correct. I'm going to edit again to change the animal name. I type in human. Human, save change. You tell what that is?
There.
That's a bear. Look, American black bear, count one. It knew what it was. It recognized it. That's pretty amazing considering it's a clip from a video and it's in the fog. But that's a big old bear. I'm just going to accept that here. That's easy. So this is how you can go through them one at a time if you want. Again, this is slow. If you don't have a lot of photos, if you have 50 or less, you can go ahead and do it this way. And just keep going to this. Every time you accept one or edit it and say yes, it jumps to the next picture. We've got a bobcat there. It's a member of the cat family. Yeah, but I want to be more specific. I'm going to type in bobcat. Links through. I think there's another one here. Cat. Accept that one. You got a fox. Get back here. See, as I identify them, they're still here. So it becomes much easier. Once you start using your program, it identifies them much faster. Got a rabbit. I'm gonna just type in rabbit. See, there's lots of rabbits. So here's all our rabbits. Let me know if I pass black-footed rabbit.
Yeah, I saw it earlier.
Okay.
There was a black jackrabbit.
Yeah,
I thought it was
the right one.
tailed, but oop,
Black-tailed.
Oh,
There.
yeah.
That's a rat. Look at that. I don't think I got to it yet.
It's much higher, I think.
Yeah, it's at the top.
Yeah, I haven't identified it. Yeah,
There
it
you
is.
go.
Okay.
I assume there's a way to correct if I click too fast, for example, and select the wrong thing.
Yep.
There's a way to go back.
Yeah, you go to the, I'll show you, and when we get to the catalog page there, you just pull it up and you can do the exact same thing you're doing now.
Mhm.
And just edit. So I found this is kind of a quirk. Sometimes if this says edit identification up here, you can't do anything with it. You need to go to remove all IDs right there. And then it gives you the animal box. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Here it is. See, if you do add an animal here, it puts a second box in here. That's for a second animal. So I can search for the humans up here. But then it's asking me what the other animal is. And you need to turn that one off. Remove. You only want one box here with one animal in it. And that's humans already done. So same change.
No.
Yeah. So there is no unknown. So it's a best guess. I'm guessing it's our friend the rabbit.
Hmm.
Either a fox or a rabbit. See anything? Blank. Done. So that was the whole thing. Double check your filters up here. Make sure there's nothing selected here. There's no ones, because then if something's showing up here already, it's filtering that. It'll only show you what's selected. So you got to make sure these are all, that there's no little ones or twos up here. And when you're at this point, you're done. So then we'll go into the catalog phase. There's really nothing to do here in catalog except look. I'm going to go into, I'm going to find my deployment. So it was LOM 12. What we're going to do.
Brushy Peak, RM.
Oh, I'm right. Yeah, I'm on the wrong one. I'm looking for that. Ah, there it is.
Yeah.
So here's all the pictures I already put in. So here's everything we already counted. So these are cataloged, they're done. So here again, if I want to look at, let's find our foxes. Yeah, we'll do king. Oops, I got jackrabbits instead of, I got both of them. 17 jackrabbit. Wow. Actually, I'm going to find a fox. There's our foxes. So what we do once they're here, you're done or you're not done. Depends on what happens. Say we have a bear. Where's my bear picture? Oh, I got to go up here and turn these off. And I'm going to type. I'm going to up my bear. So I have a bear photo here. I want to double click it, and we like to send our lion and bear photos and anything out of the ordinary to our various partners. So at this point, if say I want to come back, I want to be able to find this bear photo real quick. Go down here and click highlight. Okay, now it's a highlighted image. Now if I close it, I'm going to turn this off, and then I can go over here to photos, and I can click highlighted, and it will bring that there right back up, and anything else that's highlighted. This is handy for finding images later on, not something that you may do, but it is something that other Dan may want to do this if he wants to find all the bear, all the mountain lion images. What we do with these, in this case, I don't know how many of you have done this, actually work with the program, but have copied a photo from here to the Google Drive that Sonoma Ecology uses. This is something we're doing right now. So if I wanted to send this photo to somebody, I'd come down here and download, click download, it pops up on my screen, it's downloaded now. I would go up here and save it. Save as, I'm gonna give it a name, I'm gonna, oops, put it on my desktop. Just gonna put bear, save. So it's on my desktop now. I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna hunt it down. Of course, I can never find things on my desktop. And unfortunately, there's the whole thing of you guys, and close that there. You're covering it up.
That's quite a photo you have there.
Which is, oh, that.
Yeah.
And it comes with a identified bear.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You're looking at a snow leopard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it. That's not,
Well,
if
its
you-
eyes are
if-
like looking directly at.
oh, there it is. Okay.
It must have been when there was snow up at the top of Bald, huh?
Right. Yeah, our friendly snow leopard. So to get to Google Drive, and this is something you guys will have to set up on your own computers. There's a, oops. Now everybody has access. I gave everybody the link and the instructions to get to this Google Drive. And in here we have species specific folders.
Right.
So
I don't
which
think I
page?
got that link.
Okay, it's on the instruction. If you have the instructions, it's down on the last page of the
I
instructions.
didn't get those either.
Okay, who's talking?
Julie.
I don't have, Julie, okay. Let me pull my thing back up. Okay, now I can see you all again. Yeah, Julie, I think I'll have to catch up with you. I think I didn't send you some of the stuff. In this case, we have a bear, and I would take my bear photo and I drop it into the bear in here with all the bear pictures and drop it in there. And you need to rename it. You need to rename it the location, the date, and the file number. And that helps us. And then Julie is going to figure out how to get these to our partners. And this is kind of a new thing. We're still discussing how this is going to work, but you drop it in there. So you might get hung up on that. You can always send me an email or talk to your, if you have a lead that's been doing all the data for you, you can talk with them about the easiest way to do that.
Hey, Julie and Guy's email from Thursday, I see you on that email, and that's where the instructions all are.
Okay, I apologize. I stand
And I
corrected.
think
Okay.
the list is there too. So just take a look at all those links, and there's a couple of things at the bottom.
What's the day of that? Do you have
It
that?
was Thursday, which was
Jill, I think I sent it to you
the
later.
6th. The 6th at 11:33.
Okay.
No, her name's on here, Julie Morrison at Gmail.
Okay. Okay.
I think it was mine, Guy, that you sent later.
Okay. I'm confusing Judith and Julie.
That's okay. But I think, oh no, the list is here. I apologize. So I do
Okay.
have that Excel list.
And it should have the link for the Google Drive as well.
Yeah.
So the other thing you talked about videos, the only thing we're doing with videos right now, we're using them for public use, for public dissemination. We're putting them on Facebook pages and Instagram pages and things like that to promote the park. So we're not doing anything with the videos other than that. So the only videos we want would be, again, of the bears and the lions and any real special animal or something doing something. There's no definite idea of what we want. If it's of great interest to you, you might just drop it in. There's a folder there, drop it in one of the folders, depending on what species it is. If it's something we've never seen before, you can make a new folder on that Google Drive as well and name it and drop it in there. I want to show you what we do with videos, although I can't because I don't have any videos on this card. Going back to catalog, let's say we find the bear. I can't really do, let me just talk about this because I can't show you because the way I set this up. If you find a video of a bear or you find a good still image of a bear or a mountain lion and you want to see if there's a video attached to it, you go to the catalog, find the critter. I'm already there. Find the critter, go up to metadata, scroll down, and you'll see the file name right here under file. So you write that file name down, you go back to your disk, find that file, it'll still be there. That's a JPEG file, it's a photo. Find that file and look at the files before and after that to see if you got this bear wandering across here on video. Make a great video. If you find one of those, either before or after is when you'd probably see that. Again, you'd copy it and drop it into the Google Drive. And that Google Drive address is in those instructions. I can send that out separate to everybody as well. And I tested it yesterday and it should work. There's no permissions involved. It should be open to anybody to drop things into that Google Drive. So you just follow the URL that I sent out and it should take you right there. So that's what we're doing with videos.
There's also how to name the video file.
Yes,
when
it's
you
in there.
save it.
It's in there also.
Yeah,
Yes.
the instructions are there because we like to know the location and the date. Then our partners can see where exactly in the park that animal was.
Yeah, you just refer back to the instructions and it's the location designator, the date, and the file name. And then so you rename the file. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to go over. I do have a list.
I think you did a great job.
Okay, videos. Yep, I'm at the end. Any question? I know this is a lot. I'll tell you, once you start, this funky business we had here sometimes happens, sometimes it doesn't. And this is a worldwide program, and it might be that there's a lot of people working on it at one time all over the world. And maybe that's what's causing us to break down, or there's just maybe some issues with their program. I'm probably going to have some talk with them a little bit about why this species folder, why it doesn't work well here, but once we get into identify here, these edit ones work so much better when you do edit. You mentioned here we are in the catalog. You mentioned this is one that's already been identified. If somebody identified this as a fox, if Chris Williams identified it wrong as a fox, you could go to edit and type in something else there. You can make it a Menzies mouse, whatever you want to make it. So that can be corrected. So if you make a mistake, you can go back in during the catalog portion and make a change. So we're not going to change. Chris did a great job identifying that bear. So
I have a
be happy
question.
to answer any questions anybody has. I know it's what I was going to say. I know it's a lot, and you'll find that the more you use it, the easier it becomes. Getting through the whole upload procedure and struggling with these names, you'll get to learn all the names of all the animals that are in the park. And there's really only maybe 10 animals that we see over and over and over again. It gets pretty easy to identify them. When you come across the badger like Happy Trails did, then that's a different story. They got to try to figure out what that is and identify that. But generally, you're going to see your lions, bears, your deer, rabbits, foxes. This does birds. Right now, we're not identifying birds. If you want to, it does have birds in its database. If you want to do that, fine. I don't have direction from Dan as to whether we're doing birds right now. You can just do avian is one of the categories, which you can lump in any bird in there. So you just type avian and it should find it. If you want to be more specific, if you see wild turkeys, you could try to hunt down turkeys and put that in there. Again, it's not something that Dan has told us to do yet, and we'll probably have to get some clarification on whether we really want to get into the birds or not. I think there's other programs that are better at identifying birds than this is. This is really designed for mammals. Any
I have
more
a
questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question on a more just bigger picture kind of question. So how do you foresee this happening? A team of 4, let's say, goes out and collects the camera things and then distribute them to each person to do one disc thing, and not a disc, card.
A card. Sure.
I mean, there's nothing like doing it in real time to learn. I mean, watching a Zoom video is great and instruction or reading about it, but actually doing it is the best. Or
yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I envision each team deciding the best way to do that. I know a lot of the teams right now have one person doing data. If that person wants to continue being the only one doing data and can learn this program, and the other team members are fine with that, then we'll keep doing it that way. If there's other members of the team that want to get more involved in doing the data, then by all means, they meet at the end of the hike and distribute, say, here's your card. Why don't you go do this, follow the instructions and download the card. We'll see how you do. It's kind of a dynamic thing. It really depends on how each team wants to handle it. Also, will be probably, I know there may be teams that just want to hike and don't want to do a data at all. We might be looking for some outside volunteers. In fact, there are also people that have already expressed an interest in that to just do data, in which case the teams would come down, take their cards home. One person might take them home, do all the upload, and then just stop, notify this other teammate who's just doing data that, hey, we've uploaded all the cards, they're there, you can go through and start identifying them. So it really depends on how the teams want to handle it. I don't think there's any right or wrong way. It depends on the individuals in the team and what their interests are.
Yeah, what we've been doing is I've been doing all the downloads, and then one of the other team members, just because it was so cumbersome before, and then one of the other team members did the sorting of animals. And so that's another way to do it even on this.
I remember conversations a couple of years ago when I first started up with Critter Cam, and it was encouraged that we do both because everybody wanted to hike. But it sounds like over time, really, that's not the case. It's not practical, and some people would prefer data or would prefer to hike or ride.
You're absolutely right. I think that's how each team has evolved over the last year or two. Is everybody likes to hike. I've seen very few people that don't want to hike. But they come up and you've been 2 hours, 3 hours hiking around, we're dealing with cameras, come back down, you're tired. And in the old days, we had to sit down in the Critter Camera office, and we'd spend 2.5, 3 hours uploading data, and people didn't enjoy that. So we ended up, a lot of the teams, in fact, the majority of them, I think, have ended up having a particular person who's doing data, taking it home and doing the same process that we were doing in the CC office at home. And then that kind of lets everybody else go after the hike. I know my team and several others do that. And it seems to work fine for us. If I have a member on my team that wants to get involved in data, absolutely, I would love to be able to hand them a disc. It's less work for me to do, and then they get to start using the program, become familiar with that. Plus, everybody likes to look at the pictures. That's the big reward we get. When you come down off and you've got a disk and you don't know what's on it, and you all sit around the computer and look at it. You get excited when you see a mountain lion or bear or something new. And this way, say I do it for my team, and I could say, hey, go look at Wildlife Insights. Look at these. Look at the photos we just downloaded. There's some great bear shots in there, mountain lion shots, and everybody can kind of see them right away that way. I think it'll be kind of a better way to do it for a lot of the teams.
Mhm.
So Guy, my question is, I would love to be able to hike, but I use a power wheelchair and I'm not going to be able to get to a lot of places that the cameras are set up. So I would be one of the people that's willing to do the remote ID.
Right.
And how does one, I mean, how would I get on a team?
Yeah, the best way to do that is to just stay in touch with me.
Okay.
I don't know if there are teams that are going to relinquish the data right away. For the reason I just mentioned, they really enjoy doing it, seeing the animals.
Yeah.
That is a possibility. It might happen though, that somebody might be able to say, hey, we've got 6 cameras and we could turn 2 or 3 of them over to someone who just wants to do data. So I know what your desires are right now, and I know how to reach you. So if that does come up in the near future, we'll be reaching out to you to give us a hand on that.
That would be great.
Yeah, you don't live in the area either, do you?
No, I'm down in Oakland, but I'm up in
Right.
Sonoma County quite a bit. So
But this is the huge advantage that we'd have using this program. You don't have to leave your house. You
right.
could just be sent an email. Hey, there's photos up there for you to sort through, and you can sit down and identify them right from the home. So yeah, I know where you are. I know who you are, and I know what you want to do. And as soon as a team expresses a need for that, you'll be the first person we'll reach out to.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure. Any more questions?
Yes, Guy,
Yeah.
thank you very much for doing this. I appreciate that. I was able to follow what you were doing. I watched some of the tutorial too, but not all of it on there too. But I had a couple of questions. We want to go back through the last year or two of data and images that we have. Is that correct? And get those uploaded?
Ideally, yes, we will. There are some issues with that we're going to have to sort through, but that's something we will be reaching out, either finding people that are interested in just doing data and going back through. We have this program. I started this program in 2017, right after the first big fire we had. So that's 4 years of data that are sitting on a hard drive at the CC office right now. Ideally, we should bring all that back in, but the problem is some of the way we handle the data and sorted and stored it and named it has changed completely. So we might have a hard time identifying the locations for some of those. So that's something I'm going to have to work with Dan a little bit on, and maybe try to find some folks that are willing to come in and just do data. That might be a job for anyone that just wants to do data, but I think that's going to be in the future, because we've got to sort through the old photos and the way we catalog them and try to figure out the best way to do that.
Yes.
The program also has the ability to do that in batch, where you have to go in, we'll have to go in and set up a large database and send it to them, and they can catalog it for us, but I'm not sure we're set up even to do that right now. So that is the goal. We might be even asking the ones that are doing data, hey, can you go back over the last 6 months and look at your data and bring them into the program here? So we might be asking some people on our existing crews right now to do that. We'll have to wait and see. Right now, we're just trying to get everybody comfortable with the program and make sure it's working for us.
Okay. And have you found that a lot of the, the photos, the images that we've been taking up until this point have been more than 10 megs?
There has been, yeah. Chris and I sat down and looked some with his cameras set at 30 plus megapixels, and they were a little bit too large. Yeah, he has a program that can reduce that, and we can talk about how we could do that for other groups if that's necessary. But again, the easiest thing to do, you don't need a 30 megapixel photo for this. If you're a professional photographer and you're going to make a 24 by 36 inch image, you need a 30 megapixel there. But when these are just on the internet, these can be, you can actually set it to the smallest setting your cameras will do, and they'll be just fine for our needs. So the easiest thing right now is just to change the setting on the camera, then you won't have to deal with that at all. And
Okay.
the old Moultries that people are using, it's not an issue with them. I don't know if it's an issue with all of the Bushnells. When you set the Bushnells at a high, medium, low setting, I don't have any, so I haven't been able to look at the files from a Bushnell that's set on high to see whether its files are too big or not. That's still something we're going to have to experiment with.
Okay. And lastly, and you'll have to forgive me for this too, but as you uploaded or downloaded your images from that disk onto there, and you were categorizing those and selecting the appropriate names for them, I was under the impression that the Wildlife Insights was going to, using the AI, was going to do that. But it kind of looked to me like you were, selecting the names and then selecting the photos to go with whatever that animal was.
Right. It can't. It's not great at doing that yet. We certainly hope it improves. I did a little bit of that when I went looking for fox and I couldn't find fox. That's what I was attempting to do, is have it identify all the foxes for us. Because when you select the species, going up back here, when you select species and type in species up here, type in fox up here, it should find all the foxes. Like, still finding bears for me. So I tried to do that. We were just sort of struggling with that when that was happening. But that would be, I think, as it improves, that would be the best way to do it, is use this species drop down here. And you still have to confirm whether it's correct or not. So you're always going to have to search for species, have it pull up certain photos of species, look those over and make sure that they are all what it says it is, and then you catalog them. But there's always going to be time where there might be a human mixed in there, or a coyote in with foxes. So you're always going to still have to do a visual and use your own knowledge about what the animals are to make this program work. I doubt if it'll ever get to the point that I cannot see a computer being able to identify the difference between a fox and a coyote that's 100 feet away in the fog. I think that's hard for humans to do. I just can't see a machine being able to do that ever. Maybe, knock on wood. So we're always going to have to do it. And I've just found I sort of did it the way that I'm used to doing it. I just use the thumbnails. I see what's there and I click, here's all the foxes. I do those. I just found that works best for me. Other people might want to separate, let it identify all the deer in the picture and then go ahead and say, yes, those are all deer. But you're still going to have to look at them.
All right. Yeah, thank you. And you said that your experience is that you feel like it's slowly learning.
Yes, I do. Particularly with when it works right with the foxes and the deer and the ones that we put a lot in. We haven't put a lot through it yet, but I do think it's improving slowly. At least for me, as I've been using it, I notice it's getting better and better at identifying the animals.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anything else?
I have a question. Do you know, will these images be in the public domain or will they be copyrighted? What happens to who owns the images?
They're, I'm trying to think of the term of it. They're
Copyrighted.
That's not what I'm thinking of, but they are. We can designate how they can be used, and right now, like I can hunt that down. Or can I? That's not what I want. The back end of this is interesting. This is what I want to get to. Well, maybe it's up here. Nope. I can't remember where that was. You got to hunt through this. Anyway, they're in very short terms. They will become available to the public to use. not commercially. There's a setting in here we have to set where they can use them. They can't do it commercially. They might have to ask our permission to use them. I mentioned earlier when we started, they're actually not even available to the public to look at for, it'll be almost 2 years now, a little short of 2 years now, actually a year now, that the public won't even be able to see them yet. But once they will, they'll be able to download them and use them. There's a copyright term for that I can't think of off the top of my head, that we can set limits on what they can do for that. And that's been done in advance already. Did that answer your question?
Yes. So
Sort of.
they will be available to the public with certain restrictions that
Correct.
that are set by either the
Creative
park or the
Commons.
state.
Creative Commons is what it's called. It just came to
Yeah.
me, and it's a term. It's a copyright term saying that they can be used for certain aspects. And there's different types of Creative Commons copyrights, and depending on what we've tagged them at, determine what they can be used for. We're certainly not going to be able to let somebody put one of our bear pictures in a commercial for a car or something like that. For research and that sort of thing, absolutely. That's the whole point of it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Great. Well, thank you for attending. I hope you get a chance to give it a try. Talk to whoever holds your disc at the end of hiking and ask them for one and take it home and upload it. If you want to contact me, best to reach me by email. It's ggmiller@sonic.net. It's in your registration information. If you want to send me an email, I'll be happy to take a look at what the issue is. I can actually look at whatever you've uploaded. I can look at it. Unfortunately, I don't think I can do it at the same time you are, but I can look at it and see if there's an issue. Just about anything you do can be corrected if you do something wrong, so you don't have to be afraid of that. And I hope everybody enjoys it. I just know I like sitting at my desk at home, sorting through these photos a lot more than I did sitting in that cold office up at Sugarloaf. So I hope you guys get a chance to use it.
Guys, shall we, does the park want us to log this hour and a half as volunteer training?
Yeah, you can, I'm sure they do, under critter camera data training. Okay,
Thank you very much.
all right.
Thanks,
Hope you all have a
guys.
great
Bye,
evening.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
That was really helpful.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye now.
Bye-bye.